Hi there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my latest layout for CSI, Colour Stories Inspiration. And this is case file 414. So I printed off the picture and the list of evidence so that I can keep them to hand while I work on the layout. So all these papers that you see in front of me are from Vicki Boutin's ranges. Quite a bit from print shop, but I actually do keep all my Vicki Boutin stuff together, and you'll find that the stripy red one there, the diagonal stripes, and I think the darker red one there are actually from Christmas ranges. But basically I went through and I picked out all the blues and whites and reds from all her ranges, but particularly looking at print shop, and that's where these tag sheets are from, and they match the colours in this case file. So I thought they were a really good starting point. Initially I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to use them, but then I decided I was going to use 3 of these tags to literally be the mat for 3 photographs. So I'm going to cut those down a little bit, and I've figured out what size I need my photographs to be to sit on top of those tags. And I'm going to print them individually on a selfie printer here at home so that I can get them exactly the right size for that. So I clear the decks a little bit, and while I'm getting 3 blue tags, I start to think about how I actually want to use these papers. So I always try and do a bit of prep before I start a layout, like gathering the supplies I think I'm going to need. And that's all I did. I didn't really go much further in my mind. Just it's been one of those weeks. But I had thought that I might want to use one of these frames, photo frame things from 49 and Market, so I had put those aside as well, and I'm glad I did because I really like the look of these, and I'm going to use a couple. So I've decided there's going to be some sort of column here with the photographs on top of the tags with the film strip, and now that my mind seems to be working in the right direction, I feel like I'm actually making some headway. I really love the CSI challenges. There's 2 a month that go live. They really make you look at your stash a little bit differently or use it in a different way. I certainly wouldn't have mixed and picked out reds from the Christmas to go with blues from print shop, say, if it hadn't been for the colours that was in this case file. The testimony, there was a few things you could choose from there, and it said document the 4th of July or another patriotic holiday, or be inspired by the words bless, land, brave. And as we had a recent coronation in the UK, I thought that actually that would be perfect opportunity to use red, white and blue. So that's exactly what I decided to do. All the photos are not my own. They've all been taken off social media. I wasn't there in London. I watched it on the TV there with my family. So it's a huge thing. It's the first time I'd ever seen a coronation, and it potentially could be the only one I ever see. You never know. Don't know how long King Charles will be on the throne. So it's definitely worth having a layout of its own. So I've got 3 photographs there that were taken on the day. A close-up of the King and Queen, one with their backs with all the crowds in front of them, and another one with the red arrows with a red, white and blue trail in the sky above Buckingham Palace. So I think that kind of literally gives you some idea what the sort of day that we had here. So I'm also going to look at the evidence list. It's there on the right at the top of the screen, and this is to inspire you to use more of your stash. And at this stage I've already got quite a few of the things incorporated on this layout. So one of them says a flowery pattern, and that dark red paper's got flowers on. It says patriotic theme. I'm getting there with the photographs, and there'll be I think a few more bits later on. Stars, definitely got plenty of stars there that I'm going to use. Flowers, I think I do bring in some flowers, or I'm at least looking at them. There's a couple that I'm roughly adding now. I'm just kind of feeling it out, so to speak. I'm looking at what I've got. I'm looking at how it could be placed. I really like that word remember. And I kind of just leave it there on the right. In fact, it does make the final cut. So I really like the way that that's placed. There's a few things on here. Banner, I've got a banner at the bottom of the photograph. Now I had a bright idea that maybe I could use one of Vicki Boutin's pre-made backgrounds for the layout. And I got out all the shades of blue that I got because the red ones are a bit pink. So I looked at all the blues, and you saw them whiz past you there, and I stopped on this watercolour one. And I decided actually rather than doing some mixed media, it would be nice to use a Vicki Boutin background with these Vicki Boutin collection papers. So I'm going to go ahead and work off that. So this is just a scallops sticker that I've got there. Scallops are also on the list of evidence that you could use, so I think that would be nice to squeeze that in there as well. And the stars that I'm trimming there, they were part of a vellum 12 by 12 speciality sheet. I've got less than half of it left. I've used quite a bit of it in the past, but definitely got enough stars to be adding to this layout. So I mentioned earlier that CSI was a twice a month challenge. It's run on an IG and a Facebook group. There's also prizes as well, so I really would recommend you check them out. There's also quite a big DT as well, so have a look, particularly on Instagram. Lots of inspiration on ways to use your stash or even different subjects to scrapbook. And the team would really love it if you went over there and gave them some love. So they do some really amazing creations. So I'm now definitely reducing what's on my desk. I find that helps focus my mind a little bit. I think I've got plenty going on there. So I've punched the holes in the tags with the We Are Memory Keepers. It's like the multi-punch tool. I really like that. Even though it's a bit on the hefty side, it works really well and is perfect. There's nothing worse than trying to cut a hole in a tag and not getting it right. So I've got a scallop there, and I'm going to now put the tags over the top. I really like, they're slightly not in line, but I like that. The word remember definitely is staying, and it's going to get stuck into place. And if you know me or you've watched my videos before, you know it takes quite a bit for me to stick something down. I quite like the banner at the bottom, but I want to actually fill in the banner bits with some pattern paper. So that's a Shenanigans 3D printed banner. I'll link to that below. It's a little UK business that I run myself, so you're very welcome to check that out too. So I'm now looking now on the right, trying to not mirror as such. Not all the papers are the same on both sides, but I want to have a little collection of bits and pieces, some of them off the list that we need to include. So I've got a frame, I've got a flower, I've got stars, I've got scallops, I've got a flowery print there. So I think that's a nice little collection that's going on there. I'll see if there's any other bits that I want to add to it. I'm just going to make sure it's all stuck down. I have a tendency not to just use a little bit of double-sided tape, so I need to make sure that I go in and finally stick things down. That piece of chipboard there says Happy Life, the navy one. I think that goes really well. Trying to see if I can get a wooden wreath underneath, because wood and wreath is on the list, but it just doesn't sit right, so I'm going to leave it. I really like the gold and blue vellum I've got underneath that frame. And you see me add a sneaky frame there on that Happy Life chipboard. That's another 3D shenanigans. So I think the frame definitely comes under patriotic themed items. So the banner's now got the paper behind it. I'm going to add some Vicki Boutin stickers to that, just on the odd ones. It's just got little gold stars. So there's little tweaks of gold all over the place as well. Round the vellum stars, the stickers there, and then in the frame on the top right. Just bring in a bit of white twine here, and I'm just going to weave it through the tags. No big deal, it's not too big edges. I don't want them to be individually as tags, if that makes sense. So the thread is just running down, and I'm just going to trim that off a little bit and then just fray the edges. So I've cut the word King in the centre with die cuts out of a pattern paper that I've already used, and I'm now thinking about the title. I've got some navy puffy stickers, foam sticker letters at the top left, and I've got some wax paper, so I'm already thinking about the title and how I want it to look. I've also got a little word phrase on each photograph there as well, I think, which will work, and I'm now looking a little at the positioning of some of these vellum stars. I think I go back and cut a few more out so I can have a mixture of sizes. So I'm going to put the title on the wax paper first. I've settled on God Save the King. I find that really, I always pause at the moment. I think maybe because it's such a new phrase. It's only been a year or so since we have been saying God save the King. And yeah, it just, I don't know, it makes me hesitate somehow. Anyway, we're going to get used to it. So I think that's a good title for this layout. So I'm just looking at the placement really, and that's why I've got the letters stuck on the wax paper first, so that I can actually mess about with it and move them around. As I say, I come back in, cut out a couple more stars just to get a variety of sizes, so that I like the way they look. But as you can tell, this layout isn't far off really. I'm just having a little bit of a tweak, which is what I normally do. I always have a little bit of a, well, I like to take my time. I think that's one of the things. I'm not a fast scrapbook. I never have been. I've got plenty of layouts in my albums, but I don't keep a record of how many I do in a year or how many I do in a month. It's just what it is and how it happens. But it does normally take me some time. I'm not one of these people that do lots in one day. Sometimes I'm lucky if I do one in a day, but hey. So I've tidied up a little bit again, so there's less around me, so I'm going to focus on finishing it off. I felt the word king wasn't standing out enough, so using the same dies, I went back in and cut the letters again out of children's foam sheets, you know, the craft sheets you can get, and I've now stuck the pattern paper to the foam, which means that will just raise the word king off the layout a little. And I'm coming in with the wet glue to stick them down. Now, I like to use the Nouveau Deluxe adhesive, and I don't have any problems with that. It's got quite a fine nozzle, so it's quite easy to control, because I'm not very good with wet mediums usually. I can get quite messy. And I'm using glue dots for the vellum. I decided they're patterned enough, you won't really be able to see them, but that means that I can actually peel them up and move them if I feel that they're not quite in the right place. So I'm really chuffed that I've managed to get a layout made, connected with the coronation. I think it's something that will look and should be in my album. It's already in my project life, so now this 12 by 12 will finish that. So that's perfect. And I would really recommend that you do check out the CSI challenges. They're really great. Debbie does a great job with them. And here's the finished layout, and there's some close-ups for you too. So thank you so much for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you like it. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll also link the Shenanigans Business website as well. So goodbye for now. Thanks for watching. See you soon.